That seems to show which sector in the United States has made the most money off of the 9/11 attack against us. Of course, the war and weapons manufacturing industry is among the highest, but you know who else is way, way up there? Big tech. Big tech. It's made a bank off of the so-called war on terror. Correspondent John Huddy has this story.
The report is titled Big Tech Sells War, and it was published by the Action Center on Race and the Economy, Empower Change, and Little Sis. All three are advocacy and activist groups. Their report outlines how the big tech companies, including Microsoft, Amazon, Google, Facebook, and Twitter, have been awarded massive federal contracts and subcontracts with U.S. military, intelligence, and law enforcement agencies over the past 20 years. Since 2004, according to the report, the Department of Defense alone awarded big tech firms more than $44 billion in contracts, with the bulk of the money coming from the Pentagon and Department of Homeland Security. For example, in 2020, Microsoft secured a $230 million contract with the Department of Homeland Security for its cloud computing programs and various licenses. Amazon has also made out big with a 400% increase in its federal contracts for, among other things, information technology systems from 2007 to 2019. The report notes that contracts were, quote, primarily with agencies central to the war on terror, analyzing data pulled from Tech Inquiry, an online tool that allows users to explore U.S. government contracts. But in its own report about the ties between Silicon Valley and the U.S. military and law enforcement agencies, Tech Inquiry does note that only Facebook, Apple, and Twitter look to be staying out of major military and law enforcement contracts, though it is clear Facebook and Twitter received U.S. taxpayer money for, among other things, advertising and social media campaigns from the Department of State and the U.S. Agency for Global Media, or USAGM for short. Not exactly weapons of mass destruction. The report does note, though, there's been a, quote, revolving door between big tech and U.S. intelligence and Homeland Security officials who ended up going to work for companies like Amazon and Microsoft. So the bottom line is the big tech companies did make some big money from U.S. government contracts. And as long as big tech is selling its computer programs and IT systems, Uncle Sam appears to be buying. For the News with Rick Sanchez, John Huddy.
Host of Redacted Tonight, Lee Camp, is good enough to join us now to talk a little bit about this. It's fascinating to look back those 20 years. You're old enough to remember, to have seen it, to have been a part of it. Me too. And now we see that we didn't get better as a result of our reaction to this attack, right?
No, I wouldn't say we did. I'd say that, it's called the shock doctrine. When these events happen, these catastrophic events, the largest corporations, the most powerful people have ways to exploit them and make a shload of money, let's just say.
Because it's not, we were just talking before while we were watching this together, it's not just big tech. It's big arms manufacturers. Right. It's big media. I mean, we could go on. We were kidding, but all the bigs have done well.
All the bigs have done great, yes. Big oil, yeah. I think people think it's like just the weapons contractors. They go, the weapon contractors made a lot of money from the war. But, you were pointing out like big tech. I mean, they made billions upon billions of dollars from this. Google's motto when they were founded was "Don't be evil." Well, quietly in the past several years, they've taken that off their, charter. They removed "Don't be evil" because what they do is evil. War is now digital in many ways. So
that's not a good thing. But when this happened, we did all come together for a time. We were all united. Yeah. I mean, Le Monde, the newspaper in France, said to the world, on this day, we are all Americans. And Americans, black, white, Latino, Hispanic, gay, everybody came together. What the hell happened to that?
Well, that shows what that moment could have been used for. It could have been used for global cooperation, for a change in the way that America viewed, the way it dominates the world. They could have viewed it differently, and we could have changed the path, and we could have come together. And instead, you have a tiny group of ruling elite who said, no, this is a chance for us to dominate, to invade, to make a lot of money, to destroy the countries we view as enemies, and did the opposite of working together.
You're right, and you mentioned invade, so let's go there. We actually invaded a country who had nothing the hell to do with the attack on 9/11.
Yep.
I know that sounds simplistic, but
Yep.
I want you guys at home to think about that for a minute. We were invaded, and then we attacked a country that had nothing to do with that invasion. That actually happened in our lifetime.
Yeah, and you go back and you watch the speeches from General Wesley Clark, who ended up running for president, used to be NATO's Supreme Allied Commander. He said he went in the days after 9/11, and they told him in the Pentagon, we're going to invade 7 countries in 5 years. And it was Iraq, it was Afghanistan, it was Libya, and it's all, I mean, it's taken longer than 5 years, but it's all gone pretty according to plan, sadly as this is.
So we have a situation where our country is attacked, and now 20 years later, we look at the situation. It was only, I think, last week that we ended the war we originally started because of that, which was Afghanistan.
Don't worry, we'll keep bombing, though. Don't worry. We're not done.
You don't think it's over. You're not buying it.
We're not going to have troops on the ground, but we'll keep bombing. We'll keep bombing.
And we end up looking back and seeing that we've become a very profitable nation as a result of what happened there. But are we better for it? And I think that's the ultimate question that I have to ask, because this so-called war on terror, what the hell is a war on terror, I have to ask? No, really.
It's a war on an emotion, and you cannot defeat an emotion, thereby they can keep it going forever. That's the point of it. I mean, well, you can't stop terror, you can't stop fear, you can't.
I was talking with the Boom Bust team a little while ago. The idea that we would attack fear.
Yeah.
We're not attacking Russia. We're not attacking China. We're not attacking Mexico. We're attacking fear. How the hell do you attack fear?
Well, you're pointing straight to it. If you say we're going to stop, this country, then once you've stopped them, you have to end the war. Whereas if you say we're going to stop this emotion, you can go forever.
Yeah. And I think that's the bottom line here, right? That's what makes it the way it is.
I'm going to start a battle on love. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, for you, it hasn't. It's been fine for me.
All right.
Lee Camp, always a pleasure, man. Great conversation. Australia's top